Okay, I guess we can start now. Thanks, everyone, for being here this evening. I trust you will find this presentation interesting. And of course, I welcome your comments and questions at the end of the talk. Without further ado, the power of words. How did I come up with this idea? I love languages, and I have studied languages for a big chunk of my life. I studied to be a teacher of German first, and then at the same time, I studied English. From childhood, I was exposed to foreigners. I'm originally from Adana, Turkey. Adana is where the largest NATO base in the Middle East located, the Incirlik Air Base. So at some point, there were more than 5,000 military and civilian personnel there. So I was exposed to foreigners in my midst, and I was always curious to know what they were saying, what they were talking about. From early on. And then, sure enough, I started to study languages. And then at some point, I found out about ancient coins. And for me, it was never collecting coins. For me, it was always what I can learn from coins. And what I discovered by studying them astonished me in so many different ways. And one that was the most important for me was discovering things that others have not discovered before. And this sense of satisfaction, finding something that has not been discovered by others, stimulated my interest to go deeper and deeper. I'm a certified translator here in Vancouver, and I managed the Society of Translators for about nine and a half years. And this was a presentation that I prepared for the translators at the Society about 10 years ago. And so it's about time to revisit it. And sure enough, when I revisit a presentation, I always change it almost entirely, add new slides. In the meantime, of course, my information changed, improved. And so here we are. So how did it start? It started with something like this, a lump of cast precious metal, most likely electrum, no sign, no nothing on it. And then they decided to put some kind of a sign on it. This is, of course, not an inscription, but it is a sign. It tells us something. There's not only one sign, but there are two signs. It was cut twice to check, of course, the content of the metal. And then they decided to create a further step to make sure that the coin is legitimate and it is the pure metal inside and out. And it's not just a test cut, but it is a special die that would struck on the metal to show the inner part of the metal. So why did people do all of those? It was because they were constantly fighting forgers. Because forgers knew how to plate precious or base metal cores with precious metals. So here the picture is not really so nice, but it's actually an electrum coin. As you see, they used a punch to go into the metal. However, they then plated it with, it's actually copper inside, and then they plated it with electrum on the other side. So they needed something to reassure the end users, those who will accept these currencies in a transaction. Assurance was important. And then, of course, it served to legitimize the that metal piece or that means of exchange. It is going to eventually upgrade to show sovereignty, not just assurance legitimization, but also the sovereignty of a ruler, maybe. And then came individualism. I am the one had to be emphasized. And then from personal individualism to a national being, national body being mentioned, ethnicism. And then, of course, when you have a national body, their pride becomes something that needs to be promoted. And then from then on, passing information. And finally, civic and political alliances, and the list can go on and on and on. So this is just a handful of items that I came up with while preparing this presentation. So those are all the things and more that we can infer, learn, and understand by studying legends on ancient coins. And of course, I bring up this question of literacy. How literate were people from the beginning to read the inscriptions on coins? After all, we're not talking about we're not talking about time periods where or when organized education was the standard. We're talking about 650 BC. Education, especially literacy, learning how to read and write, was not something so common, and only certain people in certain wealth level could afford to learn how to read and write. So why was it necessary for them to put a legend on the coin? And but for some reason it was. They felt the need for it. Before they introduced the first inscription, they introduced a sign, a badge, as in the case of this Lydian coins. The rumor is that, or according to Herodotus, Gyges adopted the image of the roaring lion as his family's royal symbol. So when people saw this, they knew it was guaranteed by the Lydian king. Of course, we don't know which one it was, because the same symbol was used by 5 or 6 Lydian kings. But it is the beginning of putting some sign on the coinage to legitimize and for safe travel, safe exchange in transactions. And this is the reason why they had to improve all of that, because here the same coin was plated with electrum, with core being silver in this case. So even they used silver to plate with electrum at that time. And again, from very early on, if they say started to strike coins, what we can call a coin with a sign on it in 650 BC, they had to come up with another idea to protect the means of exchange that they put in circulation. So here they decided to put a legend. So legends appear on coins from the beginning. If not the first coins, but the second series or the third series came with some kind of a legend. Of course, these are in Lydian script, and the Lydian script is not fully understood and deciphered yet. And what you see here, I just wanted to share with you as food for thought. Everyone is so familiar with the Greek language. Everyone tries to reminisce everything to Greek. So they try to read this one as kukalim, or something that belongs to kukas, and they want to relate it to gigas. And then here they read this one as walvet, and then they want to associate it with aliates. Of course, nobody knows yet if this legend is really walvet or if this one is really kukalim. But it's a Wild West outside. During my studies and researches, I have discovered that many reputable numismatists, historians, epigraphs, they make some very brave statements about their work. And when they study something, their confidence is actually very impressive. And we readers, we are taught to believe in teachers. We are taught to believe in lecturers. We are taught to believe in professors. Especially if it is written in a book, of course we have to believe. We are not supposed to question it. But only when you go into this research yourself and try to understand what was going on, you discover that actually they are not so certain about their claims as to this legend should be read as kukalim, and it is related to gigas. No, it's just a suggestion. But after a while, it becomes a norm, or some people simply misinterpret what was written in the first place, and then they start advertising it as kukalim and then aliates. However, the earliest legible legend appears on this coin. It's most likely from Ephesus, again 650, 600 BC, Electrum. On the top here, it writes Phanes or Phanos, Emi or Emi, Sima. I am the batch of Phanes or Faunus, one of those. So this is one of the earliest examples of assurance and legitimization sign on the coin. Literally, they also say that it might mean I am the sign of the bright one being the Artemis of Ephesus. But I am more mostly leaning towards Phanos reading of it. And this person was a rich merchant, most likely, who had the facility to strike coins, and he was forced to legitimize and assure the people who will accept the currency that he put in circulation was acceptable. So he put his own sign with the entire legend on it. And then, of course, you have simultaneously other merchants, cities, dynasties struck coins, and they don't have any legend. This is from Miletus. More correctly, in my view, to read it Miletus. And about the same time period, you have some figures on the obverse and on the reverse. This time on the reverse, you have punch marks with some designs in them. So some researchers want to interpret them as pictoriums. We don't know. No one can tell because we don't have any evidence if they were used as pictoriums or if they were just simply ornamentations of punch marks. Here you have a stag, head of a stag, and then you have a palmet here. We don't really know what they mean, but we know that it was an attempt to individualize this strike to make it legitimate and to assure that it is the right metal and the weight is also correct. So again, these designs, figures don't tell us much about the brain of the person who designed this coin. Then, of course, in the following century, in the 5th century, legends became widespread. And if they not only became widespread, and then we start to see legends in various languages. When you study ancient coins, the first definition that you come across is the Greek coins. That was really curious. When I first picked up the book Greek Coins by David Sear, I always like to read the preface, and he explains it very nicely, and he says, it is not entirely correct to call all the coins Greek coins that we are referring to in this book, because there are many different cities and cultures are represented under the so-called Greek coins title. However, we're not resourceful enough to offer a different definition. Apparently, most people don't read that part, and people continue calling them Greek coins. And then when you go online and run a search, you will find millions of hits under the title Greek coins. And many of these coins are called Greek coins when they are not really Greek coins. Long story short, here is a coin, a bilingual inscription from Pamphylia, Side. It's dated to 450 BC. And there is a pomegranate on the obverse. It's the symbol of the city. It's also a symbol of goddess Athena. And on the reverse is a crow or raven. Raven is known to be an attribute of Apollo. And raven is very rare to see on coins, but on a very early coin, we see a raven, and we know that they are talking about Apollo on the reverse and on the obverse. It's a pun, actually. The name of the city, Side, means pomegranate, and in ancient Sidetan language, not Greek, but they had their own language. And the inscription on the reverse is the Sidetan language. They try to read it, and they suggest that it belongs to a name here, but to tell you the truth, it's not very convincing. So long story short, the legend here is undeciphered yet, and only 3 of these coins are known. And on the overs is the legend Side in Greek. So people started to put their names, cities start to put their names on their coins. So what do we have here? We have ethnicity. That's why sometimes these legends are called ethnicon, the indicator of ethnicity, the race, the people who live in that city. So the decipherment is Nerbispak, but again, it is not well known what it really means. I mentioned earlier that there's so much to discover when you study ancient coins, and that was what piqued my interest in the first place. And this was something that I discovered while studying a hoard that I call Eastern Mediterranean hoard. This is from Tarsus in ancient Cilicia. And this legend here that you see was read for many years as Nergal, the Assyrian war god Nergal. I wrote a lengthy chapter in my research about this. I'm not going to bore you with all the story. Long story short, I said, no, it doesn't make sense. This is not God Nergal. This is a Persian king, and everything is Persian. He's holding a lotus flower, his headdress, his quiver, and the bow, the ornamentation hanging from the quiver, the live tree, everything is Persian. This has nothing to do with Nergal. So I had to find someone who can read Aramaic. And luckily, I was referred to a priest in southeastern Anatolia, an Assyrian priest. They still use the Aramaic language. And he said, oh, can you not see? It says Cilicia. Literally, it just says Cilicia. So, and then, of course, it made perfect sense. This legend, Cilicia, and this one is the shortened version of Tarsus, Tarsus of Cilicia, it says. And then, of course, these coins appeared together with all the others, and I was able to discover something or a mistake that went on undetected for more than 120 years. So when we, of course, we respect earlier researchers, scholars, historians, numismatists, but we always have to keep an open mind and suspect and research. There is always something to be found. By the way, going back to the legend, we have now Aramaic. So previously we had an indigenous language specific to the city Side in Pamphylia. Not too far from there, about 500 kilometers to the east, we have coins from Tarsus in Cilicia, and they used Aramaic. Aramaic was the lingua franca of the Persian Empire, their diplomatic language. It was not their language, but they decided to use Aramaic in diplomacy. So we see a lot of Aramaic legends on the coins of Cilician cities and in Phoenician cities. And these people are not really so specific about that. They know that the coins circulate, and they know that their coins must be accepted wherever they go. So they realize and appreciate that Greek was the lingua franca of the Western Mediterranean or Central Mediterranean, and so they started to use both the Aramaic and Greek legends at the same time. So here we have coins from the city of Malos, again in ancient Cilicia, also known as Cilicia. And strangely, sometimes it is pronounced as Cilicia. It makes me laugh. You can only Anglo-Saxonize an ancient name so much. Anyways, going back to Malos, here we have the Aramaic name. Again, it's an abbreviation, shortened version of the city's name. And then on the reverse, we see Malro. So the name of the city at the beginning was Maldros, not Mallos. And we see that everywhere, Malro. And then, of course, these people spell it differently. So Malro here, Marlotan here, Marlo here, Mar here, Mara here. So you cannot help but think if the coin die engraver was literate, or if he was literate in Greek, or in Aramaic for that matter. I don't know Aramaic, so I don't know if the spelling is, or how correct the spelling here is, but when I compare the Greek spelling of the abbreviated or complete version, you infer that these people were not, either they were careless, which I don't want to believe, and look at the art that they created, they cannot be careless. All I can come up with is that they were not literate in the language. They were given something, a scribble maybe, and they were asked to put it on the coin, and they did their best. And sometimes they didn't do very well. And then there is a time that you can trace the change of name by studying the legend. As you see, the figures are the same. On the obverse is Ahura Mazda, and on the reverse is a priest. It is sometimes described as Baal, but most likely it was a priest holding a pigeon in his hand, not an eagle. On this coin, you see the legend is Mar, but in the second series, it turned to Mal. So either the previous legend engraver was completely in error, or the city decided to change the spelling of its name. So here is something more to research and find out if possible. I don't know if it is going to be possible to find us a clue unless excavations reveal something important in that direction. So far, no excavations in this city. There are some excavations in the western part of the city, but nothing in the original location. So this enigma is going to continue to be an enigma. However, by studying these coins, we can see the legend switch from Marlos to Malos. Okay, and here is another one. This is from Tarsus, another bilingual coin. On the left-hand side here, you see Ter, and here Baal Tars in Aramaic. So another bilingual coin. We have something very extraordinary. Now we go beyond just ethnicon legitimization or anything else. Now we have a coin die engraver who signs his artwork, and by literally saying it. And this is Apatorios Gilson. This is a really interesting name, Apatoros Gilson, and it is written right here. And it literally says, in Greek, apatorios is also a word, deception or sincerely, but it is also a proper name. And the verb glypsen means in the past tense, engraved or carved. It is written right here. I found two other examples of this coin, but this is the best one that you can see. This is from SNG Paris 175. The other two coins are available online. However, the legend here is not so legible. All the same, it was quite legible on this one, and the numismatists were able to decipher it. Interestingly, we see someone signing his artwork. Now, what do we get here? It's not just a person signing. This person is not the issuing authority. This person is only an artist. However, the issuing authority didn't have any issues with him putting his signature on the coin. So you can imagine the atmosphere in that city in ancient times. This is 385, 350 BC, 4th century BC. Artists were respected, we can infer, right, in such way that they were allowed to put their names on the coins that they engraved. And this person apparently engraved some other coins for this mint and one other mint, at least in Kilikia. And we see the initials of his name. Of course, putting your name on a small coin like this, it's only 23 millimeters. It's very tiny. Is not so easy. So maybe he walked the extra mile to advertise his services on this coin, but he didn't put his entire I engraved this coin phrase, but he just put his initials, as you can see here. So we don't only learn about the person who engraved this coin, but we also have a platform to think about the time of this coin when engravers were allowed to use their names or allowed to use a signature on the coins that they engraved. That's not the only example. And here is another one. This one is from Crete, Aptera. Again, it is signed by another coin die engraver. Again, this is not specific to Kilikia or to the city of Soloi, but far from Kilikia, still in the Mediterranean, in Crete, they allowed another artist to sign his art with his name. And also coins became more expressive. On the reverse is the hero of the city, Ptoloikos, and the engraver or the authority that put this coin in circulation, decided to promote the hero, and they wanted to make sure that you read and know who they are referring to. Here is the legend with the name of the hero. And the scene with a tree in the background in perspective, it certainly told a story to the people who held this coin in their hand. But even so, they felt the need to identify the personage that they decided to advertise on the reverse of this coin. Here's another one. I couldn't find a better example, but there are better ones in museums. This one also says Neanthos epoi, which means Neanthos made this. So he didn't use engraved, carved this time, but he decided to say Neanthos made this. This is really interesting. And then, of course, we ask the same question when we look at the Athenian coins. They're very well known. Athena with crested helmet on the obverse, and her attribute, circlet bird, symbol of wisdom, and all. Even ancient times, they were called alls. Is it about assurance, legitimization, sovereignty, individualism, ethnicism, pride? All of it. You can see that. And it's in an abbreviated form. And they never changed that. For about 400 years, they used the same symbols with the same legend. Only in the 2nd century BC, they started to put the officers' names on the reverse, together with the is still in the abbreviated form, but then you have the names of the magistrates, the mint officers. However, the same figure appears on the coins of this city for so many years, decades, and hundreds of years, because it was not just a money in circulation, it was an export item for the city of Athens. They had this lucrative silver mine, or actually they had 2 silver mines, and they were digging out a lot of silver, and they were exporting them in the form of coins. And in so many parts of the Mediterranean, especially in the eastern part of the Mediterranean, just like US dollar or the dollar sign right now, the awl was adopted as a coin type because they thought a coin had to have an awl to be an acceptable means of exchange. Very, very interesting. We talked about legends so far, but they were mostly shorter ones, not very long ones. But this one is really interesting. This one, again, from Tarsus in Cilicia. On the reverse, it says, Mazaios, the governor of Trans-Euphrates and Cilicia. Now, this is really curious. This is not a king. This is a governor under the Persian emperor or king. And it is a coin issued by a city where he presides and rules the area in the name of the Persian king. Yet he advertises his power and his realm by saying Mazaios, governor of Trans-Euphrates and Cilicia. I guess by the 4th century BC, this is the longest legend that you can come across. And then this brings my earlier question back. What was the level of literacy in this area, in the area where these coins circulated? How many people could read? Why was it important for him to put this legend on this coin? A lot to ponder about. Of course, you go further to the south to Phoenicia, you see similar legends in Phoenicia. At some point, it was important for them to give the denominational information. This one says 1/30th of a mina here. And this one, you have the entire legend Asbal, king of Gebal, that is Byblos here. So again, going back to Greek coins and Greek legends, as you see, from the beginning, it was not just Greek legends, it was not Greek coins, but individualism, the ethnicity, the pride of the cities or kings or rulers or even governors were displayed on coins in the form of legends and whatever the language they thought was most common in their area. So one more item that I would like to discuss here is the Aramaic. The Persian Empire used their own currency within the empire in general, and they were very well known, and they had no legends at all. The most famous being Darix and Siglos. They come without any legends, and they are so well known they don't really need a legend anyway. However, the Persian kings allowed the Cilician cities and Pamphylian cities to strike their own coins, and of course, Phoenicia, they allowed certain cities to do the same thing, and they let them use Aramaic legends. In my view, that was a challenge to Greek dominance at that time. The Persian Empire and the Athenian Empire, or the cities that represented the Western Greece, at the time competing in world dominance. And it appears that the Persian Empire tried to reciprocate or fight against the dominance of the Greek language by introducing the Aramaic language and using them heavily on coins in Cilicia and Pamphylia. Unfortunately, it was too difficult to learn, most likely, and it was not as simple as Greek at that time, and Greek simply dominated the ancient world together with Alexander's invasion of the known world at that time. So you see not only a legend here, but you also see a political movement by the Persian Empire, and you also see the reality that the political movement was not successful. In the end, Greek became more successful. And the same is true in Phoenician example. It is the linguists explain that actually Greek emerged from Phoenician language. And of course, it changed formation dramatically, and it became much easier to learn and write than Phoenician itself. And that's why it was adopted by so many city-states in a short time, when the original Phoenician language remained in a small area. And of course, you have Cyprus, not too far from these locations. So Cilicia, Phoenicia, Pamphylia. In a triangle, you have Cyprus. And guess what? They have their own language. And for a language to form, to occur, to come out, you need isolation. You have to have a group of people, a certain group of people, isolated from the rest of the others, not completely maybe, but they live in a certain area on their own, and they develop sounds for certain objects and concepts. And this is how languages emerge. And Cyprus was isolated enough, just like Phoenicia was isolated from Cilicia, and Cilicia was isolated from Pamphylia, and Pamphylia was isolated from Athens. So these people developed their own languages and the writing system, and they're all different from one another. Here you have two examples from Cyprus. One here, Evagoras the First. Who says this is Evagoras the First? That's a different question. And the decipherment of the legend here is, again, not 100% secure. They claim that it is Pasilebose Uakoro. So Uakoro sounds like Evagoras. So it is convincing, but I'm not 100% sure if it is the right decipherment of what is written here. And this one here, Passiona on the reverse. Again, it is Paphos, Onasiokis. I'm not 100% sure again. However, what is interesting here is that they had their own language. They had their own script. They had their own alphabet. And these locations are not too far, hundreds of thousands of kilometers. No, they are, within reach of one another, yet they were isolated enough to create their own language, their own script. Here is another one that I love very much. The imagery, the types on the overs and reverse are spectacular, and so is the legend Psikuroko and Pisilevose Kuroko. Again, these readings are not 100% secure. You go to further south to the west, North Africa. You have Kyrene. They simply used Greek. As you see, I skipped Egypt. There is no coin from Egypt during this time. This is very curious. 450 to 350 Persian dominion. Maybe they didn't really need to strike coins, but mostly I believe it was because they were self-sufficient. And they had a closed economy. They didn't need anything. They didn't need to buy anything from outside other than silver. They didn't have silver. They had plenty of gold coming from the southern part of Egypt, but mostly agriculturally, and in terms of animal husbandry, they were self-sufficient and they didn't need to trade. I guess they were mostly exporting their goods, and they didn't need any coins to facilitate trade within Egypt. Yet, you just move 300 kilometers to the west, you have Kyrenaica. You have two cities. The most prominent is Kyrene, and the second prominent city is Barca. They both struck coins, and they use Greek legends, Kira and Bark, on this one. And jump to the north, southwestern Anatolia, Lycia. You have Kere, a dynasty, a tribe in Lycia, maybe. They have their own script. Again, distinctive from the Pamphylian, Aramaic in Cilicia, or the Cypriotic language. They have, again, their own. And it's not just a matter of giving a different name, but they just wanted to advertise their individuality. They must have known that these languages were specific to their own location. They must have known that these coins circulated across the Mediterranean, yet they didn't care, or they were their pride was so strong, they still put their names on them in their alphabet. And here is Vaxera the second, and again Zagabaha. Apparently, again, this is another language that is not completely deciphered. So these are all suggestions by numismatists and historians, not the exact correct readings of these legends. And one other thing that I would like to draw your attention to is, as you see, these people are not Greek, yet they use the images of so-called Greek gods or goddesses. This also tells us something, that these gods were not specific to a certain culture, but they were accepted and worshipped and used as symbols in different cultures. So when they say Greek god Athena, we should stop for a minute and think about that. And when they say Greek god Heracles or hero god, we should stop and think a little bit. And the divide between West and East apparently was not as deep as it is today. And these people lived together, and these people worship similar gods. They changed the names somewhat, and they individualized that god or goddess to their city. For instance, Athena in Side has a different cognomen, a different one that is specific to that city. And I'm sure in the case of Lycia here, the Athena had a specific name, which we don't know right now, but it's not the Athenian Athena, but it is Athena of this Lycian dynasty, Vaxera. As you see, we're not only looking into legends, we're looking into so many different aspects of images that we see on coins. One of the best known coins, of course, belong to Alexander. And here I would like to emphasize the grammar, the Greek language. Alexandros is the noun or the name in nominative case. Alexandru that we always see on the coins is the genitive, the possessive. So Alexander's, they don't write the rest, but they mean the coin of Alexander or Alexander's coin. And of course, it didn't start with Alexander. His father struck coins in the same manner. So Philippou, that means the coin of Philip. And later on, we see the names of generals appointed as a governor. So in this case, Balakros, appointed by Alexander to Tarsus for Cilicia. And he struck coins under his name, Balakru. And then I don't know what happened between Alexander and him. He discontinued writing the whole name and then just the initial B. And then under the throne, T. So this is the city of Tarsus. How do we know that? And then we see the same design with a sigma, that is soloi, and with an iota, that is isos, and then with an M, that is malos. Incredible, isn't it? And then we have personal information. This is one of the earliest examples of personal information. This is Arsione II, the wife of Ptolemy II. As you know, Egyptian kings or Ptolemaic kings married their sisters. I guess that was acceptable in the official level. Of course, they had a lot of concubines at the same time, but legally they married to their sisters. And as a tradition, when coins were struck in the name of the wives, they always had this legend, Arsenos Philadelphoi, the one who loves her brother or her sister in this case, the sibling, the one who loves her sibling. And then, of course, the Seleucid kings, I discovered this from a Greek-speaking friend of mine. It's not Seleucid or anything else, Seleucid kingdom. And then they took it one level ahead under the reign of Antiochus IV. This is a very, very interesting person, actually, worth reading about. He was ransomed in Rome when Antiochus III died. He was sent to take over. There were some other contestants. Anyways, he took over. He was a megalomaniac, apparently. However, he came up with so many different ideas, and he changed the depiction of the kings, and the types, reverse types changed, and of course, he introduced these elaborate legends on his coinage. So here, Basileus Antiochou, Theoi Epiphanos. What does that mean? Theo, God, genitive, again, possessive of God, and Epiphanos, manifest or illustrious. God manifest. Theo, God. So he's not only, he says, I am the King Antiochus, also the God and the illustrious one. You can only advertise yourself this much. And later on, the historians, well, people thought he was a madman. So instead of Epiphanes, they called him Epimanes, the madman. During his time, he allowed many cities to strike coins on their names. That was a first. Some cities struck coins in their name earlier, but during the Seleucid kingdom, they were not, or Alexander, it started with Alexander, they were not allowed to strike coins on their name. But Antiochus IV allowed certain cities to strike coins in their name. This one is really interesting. This one says Basileus Antiochus. On the obverse, of course, his likeness. And on the reverse, we have the city's ethnicon in Greek, Sidonia, the coin of the people of Sidon, and they had their Phoenician legend, civic pride. Very, very interesting. Here we have the Pergamon kingdom of Manas I. What is interesting here is, of course, they always use the name of the person who started the dynasty, Philaterios. And here Athena is depicted crowning the name Philetero. So expressive imagery together with the legend. It's not just only the legend, but also giving us a message saying that Athena actually is crowning the king, the dynasty, in this case. We see Nike crowning this and that, but never a legend, as you see in this example. And then you have usurpers who needed to promote themselves as a great king. In this case, Timarchus. Look at the legend here. It says Basileus Megalo Timarcho. So great king Timarchus. Of course, you can expect a usurper somehow to promote himself in any way he can. And this person decided to call himself the Great. He was of Persian origin, and great king idea comes from the Persian Empire, of course. So it's not just a coincidence that he decided to call himself Megalo, but all the same, it was a first to use that legend on a coin. Here is another example from the Seleucid Empire, Demetrius the First, also known as Soter, the savior. On this coin, he says Basileus, king, and Demetriou, again, genitive, possessive, and finally, Soteros. So finally, what happened? Why did this person advertise himself as savior? He saved the Babylonians from the tyranny of Timarchus, the guy that we just mentioned. When he defeated Timarchus in a war near Babylonia, the Babylonians called him the savior, Soteros, and then he put that on his coinage. Here is another example from the same kingdom, Alexander the First Balas. This guy calls himself, just like the others, Basileus Alexandro, because Theopatoros. Oh, this is really interesting. Theopatoros, the one whose father was God. So he's actually not the direct son of Antiochus IV, but he claimed that he is a legitimate son of Antiochus IV. And to support that claim, he used the legend Theopatoros, the one whose father is a god. And finally, Evergetum, that is benefactor. He's a very kind person helping the poor and everyone. Not only kings, but queens also use these legends to promote themselves. Cleopatra Thea. This is a very, very interesting personage to read and learn more about. On the coinage, she says, Basilises Cleopatras Theas Evertherias. So she's the daughter of Ptolemy IV. She married Alexander Balas, Demetrius II, and Antiochus VII. She gave birth to 8 children by those kings, killed her son, Seleucus V, and then tried to kill the latest son, Antiochus VIII, but she couldn't manage that. But such an ambitious person, and as expected, she uses so many titles. So Basilises Cleopatra Theas Aetarias, that is Cleopatra, the queen, the goddess, bringer of prosperity. And sure enough, you have double cornucopia, the horn of plenty. So you see, everything is so very well aligned with the title and the legend. And here we have Mithridates VI, and he advertises himself as Basileus Mithradatu Elpatoros, of noble father. Again, the legitimization by using the father. Now, we talked about Greek coins and other cultures using different scripts, but here is a coin from the Parthian kingdom, Mithridates II. This is 2nd century, 1st century BC, yet we have Greek legends. So Greek became the lingua franca. None of these people spoke Greek. None of the people, excuse me, who handled these coins spoke Greek in Persia at that time. Yet they used Greek legends because that was the understanding of the time, that they had to use Greek for that coin to be legitimate. And of course, it was also a time when they had to make peace with the Romans. Romans were slowly coming to the east, and they wanted to align themselves with the Greek-speaking Anatolian and Middle Eastern city-states. And apparently these coins circulated in a large area. And for the coins to be accepted, they didn't have any issues in using Greek legends. And also they used similar legends like the Seleucid kings used: Basileus, Megalou, Arsakou, Epiphanos. Here's another one with lots of legends. Another Parthian king. Nobody knows who exactly it is because so many kings struck coins in very similar forms. So Basileus, Basilean, Arsakou, Evergeto, and here Dikaio, and here Epiphanos, Philhellenos. That is the most interesting part. I will start from the last one. Philhellenos, friend of Greeks, or Philhellon, or Greek lover. He, a Parthian king, advertises himself as Philhellon. That's very interesting. Epiphanos, again, adopted from the Seleucid kings, illustrious. And then here it's something very, very distinctive, the cow, just in the, of course, everything is genitive form, possessive form, because in the end, after saying all of those, of king of kings, Arsakes, the benefactor, the just, the illustrious, the Philhellene coin. So all the legends actually start the coin of, of Arsakes's coin. And they also added the month name here, not just the date, but also the month. But again, scholars are in quarrel if it is April or May or October or December, one of those. And this one, you will love this one. Why? Because it is completely gibberish. They simply made it up. They wanted to make it look like a legend. They did their best. Here I read Epifano Philelen, maybe Philelenos, they wanted to write, but the rest, they simply made it up. Nothing to be made up. This one is also interesting because, other than everything, just like the other Parthian coin, this is from Cappadocia, King Ariobarzanes III. Look at the last one, Philo Romaio, friends of the Romans, or friend of the Romans. So Basileus, King Ariobarzano, King Ariobarzanes, the pious and friend of the Romans. You can only be this expressive, and also the Eusebus is really interesting. It is pious. Of course, this is interpreted as pious to, devout to the Romans, or devout to his father or his ancestors. And I'm sure that Roman senators were reading his ad, pious, devout to the Roman Empire. Among all the elaborate long legends, we have this one. This is around 4th century BC in the city of Philos in Philissia, in northeastern part of the Peloponnese. This city simply used the first letter of the name, Phi, and that was enough for them. And this is a coin of Alexander the Great. It's one of the best known coins in the ancient world, but it's not immune to spelling errors. Instead of Basileus, it says Baileus. So they missed the sigma here. It's supposed to be a sigma here. And the quality control was not really so strong, and it passed. I couldn't find another example, so this is the only example that I could find. Yeah, there is a spelling error. And that is not the only one. Here's another one. But this time the engraver caught the mistake, albeit a little too late. But no matter what, don't worry. He says, missed the letter, but no problem. He just added the missing letter on the top. There's room for it. Why not? So they were not shy when it comes to acknowledging and correcting their mistakes. So using these epithets was not something specific to ancient people. There are 3 cities in ancient or modern Anatolia, not ancient, that come with some epithets here. Antep used to be Antep became Gaziantep, that is veteran, literally. And Marash is known as heroic Marash. And Urfa, ancient Edessa, is known as glorious. So not only ancient times, in modern times also people and cities have glorious names attached to themselves. And also in North America, in Canada, we have the same issue. And in the US, of course, beautiful British Columbia and friendly Manitoba and all the others. Interestingly, Other people were also interested in coin legends, and they decided to have this conference in June 2025 this year in Germany. I just discovered that while preparing this talk. I wish I could attend and see what other people have to say about this. Thank you. This is all I have to say about this. Any questions, comments? Please feel free to unmute yourself and speak.